Welcome to the RVA Returners Podcast, your weekly source for all things Final Fantasy TCG.
But yeah, I don't know if you... I can't get over all the Gravedigger jokes and the... dude, just... I don't know why we were so enamored by Monster Truck Rally last night. It seemed like a...
Monster Truck Rally and tech decks.
Yeah. Who needs deck techs when you can do deck techs or tech decks? So yeah, I just said that all backwards. It all sounds the same and it's all equally ridiculous. But you know what isn't ridiculous, Adam? Being back for the next episode of the RVA Returners Podcast. Guys, we are back. Thank you for being here with us. We're coming off the coattails of a pretty busy day, Adam. And like I've said, I just said your name, so that means it's Adam Lane here with me as always. And guys, I'm your host, Chris Adams. Adam, how are you today, man?
I'm good. My voice is a little scratchy, I feel.
Oh, yeah. Welcome to my world.
Yeah. But other than that, yeah, pretty good. Well, I slept in today. The New Jersey guys left before I woke up, so.
Oh, nice. What time did they head out?
They had to have left before 10. So I was around when I woke up.
Yeah, I know Sam, Ian, Alfred, Serena, and Jacob head out. They headed out around 10:30, and then because we all stayed at an Airbnb, and then I came home and I slept for about another hour. It was a pretty exhausting but fun weekend, and obviously, we'll talk about all that. And a couple other things took place. There was the Masters, the Magician Masters event, and then we had some spoilers come out. But, Adam, you know as well as I do, there's only one place where you can get all that information, just kind of under one roof. And do you know where that is, Adam?
I think I know where this is going. Yeah.
You think you know where this is going? Well, I'll tell you where it's going. It's the news. Yeah, so I guess the first headline, we'll talk about the Magician Finals. Am I saying that right? Is it Magician or Magician?
I thought it's like Magician. I don't know. Yeah. I'm probably pronouncing it wrong too. So.
Yeah, but we know what we're talking about, and everyone does too. And it was their I want to say it was the final event.
Yeah, well, so they had all these qualifiers leading up. This is kind of like their Petit Cups, I think.
Yeah.
And so they had finals, and this was like the culmination of that. And it was like a kind of a different take on the 2-deck format, right?
Yeah, because I remember when over the holidays when I was on the Crystal Tower podcast, we also had Bon on there, and he had kind of talked that this is how it was going to be. It was a 2-deck format. There was standard and title.
Yeah, which I think is really cool. I know some people might not be a huge fan of it, but I think it's pretty cool.
Oh, I think it's excellent. I think it's fantastic. Yeah. And perhaps that's something that's maybe a little bit easier to integrate than draft. And I say that because, title is something that's been kind of, I guess, I don't want to use the word practiced, but it's something that we've seen more in events, specifically overseas. I know they love title in Japan. And, obviously that's why this event was. So, having a format that's been pretty tested over there in addition to this, I'd love to hear some feedback from people that were there. Maybe we'll see an article in the future of how that actually went. But but Adam, I know we haven't seen much in the way of deck lists, but you said you saw what the finals were.
I didn't get to catch the stream really because we were doing
our stuff. Go back and watch it.
Yeah, it's on YouTube, the whole VOD. But I did peek at like the finals, and I don't know the names because I can't read Japanese. But
how dare you? How dare you?
But the finals was Mono-Wind Chocobos and Final Fantasy XIV title versus Earthwind and Final Fantasy VII title, I believe. And the
music to your ears.
Yeah, and the Chocobos plus 14 title took it.
Nice. Nice. So that's one of the things I'm gonna do today. Actually, I'm gonna get caught up and kind of go through that VOD and see just kind of see the way things were done there, because I bet there's some pretty interesting lists. And obviously with Mono Wind Chocobos taking the whole thing, so that 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 deck's still very much alive over there.
Yep.
We'll dive right into some spoilers were released over there, but then we also did have a card of the week over here. So let's go over these new Opus 8 spoilers that we've seen, Adam. We got some juicy ones.
Yeah, so I'll start with the card of the week. I'll just go in order in how they were kind of shown. So the card of the week was Undead Princess. She's a 2 CP Earth forward, Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles, 5K. When she enters the field, you choose a forward. If your opponent doesn't pay 3, it cannot attack or block this turn. And then her second ability is put 2 Earth backups into the break zone, player onto the field dull. You can only use this ability if she's in your break zone.
I think the card's really cool. The fact that it's Crystal Chronicles is always nice.
Yep.
Means it's searchable off of like Epitaph or whatever. And the fact that it kind of gives Earth any deck that has majority Earth backups, kind of like this instant speed, almost like a not a counter spell per se, but like it's something you can put into play instant speed and be like boom.
Yep.
That thing you're paying extra for that thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's kind of like the big Flan, right?
Yeah.
I think it does the first ability is the exact same, but obviously Flan has to already be on the field in order to pop it to do that, and most people are just playing Flan to pitch and find off the ice Flan.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, but I think it's interesting, especially since she could replay her. It forces your opponent to, like, constantly have to think about that 3 CP. Like, can they afford it if they decide to do it to attack? Or, can they push through the game and they can't block? Things like that.
And then it becomes one of these crazy things where you can pay 2 Earth and 2 Fire backups, Phoenix it back in, block with it, make something else can attack. And then if they got another forward, you can just pay the 2 backups, bring it back in, and then something else can attack unless they're paying 6. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, you can always stack it like that. I think the coolest thing is the fact that her second ability can be done on your opponent's turn, and it puts her directly into play. So I think a lot of things that are one of the things that people are missing is that this gives Earth access to like a pseudo haste kind of an ability.
Yeah, it's huge. That's huge.
So again, it's not true haste, right? Like it comes to the field and your opponent has a chance to play something else. But if you've seen that your opponent has like kind of pushed all that they can for that turn, and they're only able to block maybe they're on 6 points of damage and they're only able to block the forwards they have on board. And of course, in Earth, you don't really have to play around haste right now, right? But at the end of their main 2, you break 2 of your Earth backups, you put this onto the field dull, and now there's an extra attacker that they have to deal with and do math around.
I think it's really neat. I think it's a card that I want to use. And I can't wait to see what kind of neat stuff people do with it. And it's a solid Earth heroic.
Yeah, I think she's like an interesting card. And again, I think she's just like the way she's designed. I think is really cool. I don't think she's gonna be like a super like a 3 of or something, but I think I think you're gonna see her, and I'm interested to mess with her as well, for sure.
Yeah, and it gives Earth some kind of something with a little more depth as opposed to just like here's a guy. I'm going to attack, So it gives them something really neat to do. It gives them a little more interaction outside of like a hecaton chair on your opponent's turn. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So it's neat. But then we also got some spoilers from the Japanese event.
Yeah. So the first 4 spoilers are from that Meijinsen final that they showed. So the first one is Aroha. She's a 3 CP fire forward, category 11 and Mobius,
which is relevant.
Yep. 7K. If a fire character you control, not just forwards, deals damage to a forward, the damage is increased by 1,000 instead, and then she has dull, choose one forward, deal it 1,000 damage. I mean, I'll start with this one. So I think this card's actually pretty good. She is a lot like the heroic Porum.
Yeah.
But she costs 1 less at the same power level, and she's one-sided, not dual-sided. But
Which is huge.
But it's only for 1 color, right? Like if you're playing Fire X, like it only affects your fire characters. And it also affects your backups. So like things like the Opus 4 Black Mage that deals 5k to 2, this will make it deal 6k to 2. Any kind of the Scholar, right? The 2CP Scholar that does 3k to the board will do 4k to the board.
What about the Haste Ranger that does 2k to the board when it attacks?
Yep, it'll do 3k to the board. Yep. And then her ability basically reads dull, deal 2k, right? So.
Pretty much. Yeah. So, like, I think that's really neat. I think there's a lot that it can do with that. Obviously, Fire's showing some really solid cards, and the fact that this is 11 also kind of adds on to the
Volker stuff.
The Volker strategy and Archangel. I mean, not that this is really improving Archangel at all, but the fact that it's an 11 category with a relevant effect in that color makes it something that that you want while playing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and the interesting thing is, too, I feel like we've talked about this a lot and we joke about it, but like straight break effects are fire. Volker is one of the few, actually.
Absolutely.
His S breaks a block. They have to be blocking, though, so it's not just like you can break whatever you want, but it is a straight break, so.
I mean, he's no Edgar. He doesn't come into the game ready to plow, but, it's fine.
That's true. But yeah, I think she's solid, and it can also mess with some math, right, because she's a Phoenix target, too, so.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So I think she's a neat one, and we got a couple other juicy ones here too.
Yeah, so this one I definitely read wrong the first time I read it. So it's a new Alexander. It's a 4 CP summon, category 7, and Mobius. Choose one character, cost 4 or more, and break it. Is this the first dual category summon?
It might be.
Now that I think about it, I'd have to go back and look. I'm not 100% sure.
No, Ramu is Mobius in 7 as well. The Opus 6.
I thought they just say 7, even though they have Mobius art. I think they just have 7 on the card.
No, it says Mobius in 7. The only reason I know that is because I have it right here in my hand.
Okay, I got you. Maybe I just didn't think about it. But so
and I think Titan's like that as well. I think the Mobius 7 ones might be that way.
Okay, I thought Leviathan just had 7 on it, but I could, again, I'm probably wrong. So it's choose one character of cost 4 or more, break it. So when I first read this, I definitely just thought it said forward. I just assumed, and I was like, "This sucks. This card's crap." But the fact that it says characters definitely makes it a bigger deal. I'm still on the fence about it. I like a lot of things that it can kill, but is it going to be worth slots in your win decks? Right? Is this a green card that's worth playing? And I know people are like, "Oh, well, you could search it with Hope," but then now we're getting to the point where like, are we making room for 5 to 6 cards in our deck for Hope and Alexander?
Yeah. Is Family Matters deck going to be the way to play it now? It depends, right? Because now I think the big thing with Alexander is I can definitely see maybe seeing 1 or 2, because now it gives Wind the ability, if you're not playing, unless and you don't have to be specifically playing Wind Earth anymore, to pretty much break a backup of any cost now.
Yep.
So nothing's safe. None of your backups are safe now
against Wind. Yeah.
Against Wind, and to me that's huge. And a lot of people run 1 or 2 archers. I could easily see making room for like 1 or 2 of these, because you don't necessarily need Hope. You can always search it off of a Moogle special if you're playing mono Wind, if it's something that you need.
Sure.
So maybe it really depends. I think depending on if there's any like some backups that are going to stick around, it's great against Maria in the mirror match, or I'm trying to think of some other like legitimate, higher cost backups that Wind just couldn't deal with, like
Alice is a
huge one.
Minor.
Yep.
Moogle FFTCG.
Yep. See, there we go. Like, we're already naming some like real ball buster cards here that now they can just be like, Moogle special, Alexander, break that, and that just could sometimes, and also too like the Wind Water decks. Just the mono Wind decks that are playing Yuri and Chelinka, just being able to like, all right, well, I'll break that Minfilia before you get a chance to use it. Like, that's huge too.
Yep. And then it also does hit some forwards that are relevant, right? Like Yuri, like Dodaluma. All those guys.
Well, because it's also good because it also gives Wind an answer to forwards that now they don't have to play a Chaos Walker and let them play something else for free. Now they can be like, all right, that Yuri's dead. Okay, that Dadaluma's dead. All right, that Zidane's dead. So I think it gives them a lot more answers, and I think it's a really, really strong card. And the fact that it's not a burst is just, I'm 100% okay with it.
This if this was a burst, it would 100% see play. Like, I wouldn't even have a doubt in my mind. The only doubt that I have now is when decks that are being played right now are pretty tight on like the summons that they're running.
Yeah. And, I think finding room for it is going to be the hardest part.
Yeah. And then, like I said, with the people that are like saying Hope, it's like then you have to make even more room for this card, So.
Yeah, I agree. I just don't. I think in mono Wind, Hope isn't necessary because you have Moogle special. Like, you can just run like 1 or 2 copies of this. You can still run like the 3 Diabolos, the 3 Chaos Walker, and then you can just be like 1 Alexander or maybe 2, and then you're just kind of adjusting maybe your forward count or something, or you're doing a 2-2 split with Chaos. And so you've got some options, but I think it's a good card. And also the big thing about this is seeing this summon breaks the cycle of the other 2 summons we've seen,
which is a great thing.
Yes, it is. Oh my God, yes, it is. The fact that because the other 2 summons we've shown, the Bahamut and the Raiden, I believe it was, they can only be paid for with backups, and I'm like, well, those suck. But then you see this Alexander, and it's like, oh wow, we actually have a summon in this set with like downs.
Yeah, so hopefully this means that each color is going to get 2 summons. I'm hoping that's what this means. So
yeah, no, that's huge. I think it's a great card. But what else do we have on the plate, Adam? What else do we got? What's juicy?
So the next bowler is a 3 CP standard unit for Wind. It's an Archer, 7K tax advance 1 for 2 Wind tap. Put it into the break zone. Choose 1 forward. Deal it 10,000 damage.
I like this card a lot too, and it's obviously wind water is something that there is a definitive way to play it, but standard units is still something very valuable. The fact that you've got a forward that can put 10K on something, which is killing most things at that point, and the fact that you can like get it back with Gladiator and stuff like that. Like I think this card's good. I think this card is okay.
I have a question for you. I think standard unit is the only thing that saves this card, and I'll tell you why.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. If it was not a standard unit, we wouldn't even be having this conversation.
Do you play this over Dorgan? So Dorgan's a card that doesn't see play right now, right? Dorgan's a 3CP, 6K. I'm talking about the old Dorgan.
Yeah. The good Dorgan.
Yeah, tap, remove him from the game, remove something else from the game. So the advantage,
I think so.
All the advantages to this card over that card, I feel like. So it's 1K more power, and the standard unit job title is probably what helps it.
Because what is it? It's a 3CP 6K, right?
Yeah, Dorgan's a 3CP 6K.
Yeah,
but he removes. Dorgan's gonna happen. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Well, and on the plus side to this, right, because even at the worst, if you're playing like the Wind Water standard units, this thing will be a 3CP 8K with like Arc and Maria on the board, which is fine. Yeah. So, and it becomes like a piece of removal that if you need it, you can just be like, all right, put 10K there.
Sure.
Yeah. So I think, well, and with Dorgan, you can argue, well, he'll be a 3CP 7K if you've got Maria out, and
my thing is like if you're playing this just for the removal, like if you're playing it for the standard unit thing and it happens to have removal, I think you're fine. But I think if you're playing this like where your thought process is like, oh, it's a 3CP that is going to deal 10K, I think you should just play Dorgan. That's kind of where I'm at right now.
Yeah, I think the fact that it's a standard unit, it gives it a lot more luster. I think it's a great card for limited.
Oh, personally. Yeah, 100%. It's a really good limited card. Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, and like I said, I think the fact that it's a standard unit is what makes it what kind of puts it on my radar a little bit. Just the fact that you can search it with Brawn, you can get it back with Gladiator. So it's just kind of it's just something that you can keep taking advantage of.
Yeah, so. I agree with all those points. I think standard unit is what makes it like a lot more playable.
Yeah, I agree with that. And obviously, I love the artwork on it. I like this new crop of Tactics Advance 1 art that we're getting in this set. So I'm a big fan.
Yeah, and then the next card was people were bringing up on the stream a lot yesterday. It's a Prompto.
Oh my god!
So he's a 6 CV backup, so he's pretty expensive. He's Earth, and he's an EX Burst, category 15, obviously. His EX Burst is when he enters the field, choose a forward opponent controls. If the opponent controls 4 or more forwards, remove it from the game. And then his second ability is when he enters the field, choose a forward opponent controls and break it.
Ugh, this card is nuts, and the fact that it's only a rare is really, really good. And the reason I say it's nuts, like, and it really kind of got brought to life yesterday. Like right now, this meta, it's a very go wide kind of meta. You know,
you have your Stola. Yeah, I mean, you go wide, you play your Stola, and you're just like, cool, you can't do anything.
Yeah, like this card doesn't give a shit about Y'shtola because like you'll stop one of the 2 triggers.
Well, you'll be able to. You just remove Y'shtola from, or you can remove. Yeah, that's true. I guess you could target 2 things and see what she wants to do, or you could just choose to remove her if you want.
Yeah, exactly. And the fact that like it's in this day and age, like especially like the way Wind Water plays all its value. Like we watched yesterday, like just where you have a Wind Water player, they go from like 0 to 5 forwards, and they still have 4 cards in hand. And then like if you like just go Prompto, you're like. You just such a ball buster, and then like decks with Layla Viking, Layla Viking into this and this, and it's just like, all right, well, they're dead. Now is it good in every single matchup? No, but in the matchups that like where everything wants to go wide, which is the majority of them right now, like I think Prompto is going to be a card that sees a lot of play. I think the card's really, really good.
I think it's interesting because I think in Mono Earth, Shantoto just isn't a. Like, she never feels that great because your game plan is always to stay on board, and Shantoto never feels that great unless
helps that.
Unless you're able to be like kind of one-sided with it. And so that's why you see Mono Earth decks, they don't... I mean, typically they'll still run 1 or 2 because it's like, I want to have access to that, and they need to be scared of this card. And I don't know if he's going to replace her, but at least now you have like a one-sided effect that like gets the board back in your favor.
Absolutely.
He is expensive, though. The burst is kind of nice. However, I don't know how often the burst is going to hit because they have to have 4. Another cool thing is he can always burn a Lewis shield and then kill her.
Yeah. The fact that it's just a one-stop shop. Now, granted, it costs 6 to kill her, but sometimes that's just worth it.
I'd do it if I'm on 2 backups and they're on and they play a Lua off 1 backup and start swinging at me. I'm pitching 2 and playing this guy and killing her straight up. Yeah, like, that card is so hard to kill. That like, if you can develop a backup from like if you can efficiently play him off 2 and develop a third backup and kill a Lua, I'm all in. I'll play that every time.
Yeah, I think it's a good card, and I'm glad to see we got one more member of the gang left, and I can't wait to see what he does.
Yeah, that's probably the most exciting part of this card for me is now I know we're getting an Angus, and that's my favorite character in the game.
Exactly.
So
I hope he has a special that's called "I Found a New Recipe."
if he's just a searcher, I'm gonna be a little disappointed. But
if anybody's a searcher, and I pardon me for my ignorance because I've only played through 15 once, and it was a long time ago, and I didn't really care for it. But I like the characters, the story. But I've already told Hunter I'm going to give it a fair shake, and I'll give it another chance. I think if they have a searcher, it needs to be the mechanic, Sid's granddaughter. I just can't remember her name.
Yeah.
Could you refresh me on her name? I can't remember.
What was her name? Now I'm drawing
a
blank.
Yeah, exactly. It's like you.
Cindy.
Okay,
I don't know why I was drawing a blank for a second. Yeah, Cindy's her name.
Yeah, I'd be fine with like if she's a searcher or like one of the classic tap this backup, give this 15 character plus 1K or something.
Yeah.
Like I'd be fine with any of that.
Yeah. So the next card is another 6 CP card that they showed. This is the last card they showed for that tournament. I think like after finals are over and stuff. So she's a 6 CP win for Fina. So we've seen Dark Fina, and now we've seen Fina.
Beautiful mono art on this, by the way.
A mono art, Brave Exvius. She's a 9K, so she's I guess on curve, right? I mean, I guess they're like 6 and 5 is kind of like 9K is where you want to be. So we have our first instance of basically kicker in this game, right? Or boost if you're familiar with Versus.
I think didn't they call, and I think in the chapters they called it like overdrive or something like that.
I believe they called it overdrive in chapters, but this doesn't have a keyword. It's just kind of like it says if you pay extra. So so essentially it says if you pay the cost to play Fina onto the field, you may pay an extra 3 wind. So and it's 3 wind, so it has to be all wind for the extra 3. So basically she'll be a 9 cost. When she enters the field, you select one of the following 2. If you paid the extra 3. You get to use both. Deal 5,000 to all forward opponent controls. Activate all characters you control.
I like this card a lot, and I'm going to tell you why. One, it's just insane amounts of value because it's the immediate combo that comes to mind is like this plus Valifor.
Yeah, that was the first thing I thought of too. Yeah.
And then you get the fact because here's the thing. Like I don't even care about the kicker. Like I think you're never going to pay that, and if you do, you're probably just going to win the game.
Oh, exactly. Yeah, I agree with you 100%.
Because I feel like in Windwater, you just kind of do all your stuff. You end with Valifor. You ready all your backups. You play this thing, and now you've just done 8K to their whole board. And it's like, all right, well, I guess I can kind of do whatever I want to at this point.
Yeah, she lets you save those plays where like you play 2 Valifors and you kill a bunch of stuff. This card lets you play her, still play 3 Valifors. Now obviously you're gonna have to cut something, and I'm not sure what it is yet, and I'm thinking it might have to be Bart's, which I'm not sure if it's right.
Yeah, but I could even see you cutting like 1 Bart's for like one of these. Or something,
and the reason, the reason I say that is because those double Valifor turns. The worst part about those turns for you, and not that they're bad at all, is that you have to use 2 Valifors, right? So like now you're telling me, this is a perfectly feasible turn. I can like be on 5 backups. One of them's Juno, right? Play Pain or whatever for free, or not Pain. Play like Zidane for 3. Steal a card. Cast Valifor, activate my backups, play Pain, draw a card, and then tap 4, pitch a card, play this, and now I've literally played 3 forwards. I've done 8K to your board, and now I have a 9K, a 7K, and depending on how many cards in your hand, 3 or another 7K. And I stole a card from you.
Yeah, like that just seems insane to me. I think, and obviously this card is a legendary. I think it's absolutely fantastic, and that's just the Wind Water. Like on Wind Earth, you can just crack Sybil, play this thing. Then if you're feeling froggy, you can if you're playing because I think this kind of pushes you if you want to. That the Wind Earth Yuri Chelinka might actually become a little bit more viable, or this maybe gives you a reason to do that because then you can play that. Play Epitaph, search for Chelinka, play Chelinka, and now you've done 7K to your opponent's board before you've even done anything.
Yeah, and also let me remind you that this is it activates all characters. So Cactar this, boom, boom, boom. Exactly, yeah.
It's nuts. It's absolutely nuts. I think this card does a lot, and I think you can even do wacky things with it in Mono Wind as well. You can do some, Yuri activations. Play this, activate all your characters, do some more Yuri activations.
Even with Alhanalim, right? Like if you have Yuri Chelinka established with Alhanalim in the back, you play this. You have 5 backups. You tap 4, you pitch a card, you play this, you tap Alhanalim. That's a 8K to the board as well.
Yep.
It just the only thing that makes me sad about this card is that like Wind has access to better AoE damage than Fire.
Mm-hmm.
And I just don't get that. But other than that, like I think this card's great.
Yeah, I 100% see this card as just an immediate impact player. It's just 100%.
Which is what you want out of your 5 and 6 costs and 7 costs.
100%. 100%. And then the fact that like even if you were playing like really like saucy, like okay, take all of the established stuff out of the equation, and we're looking at like just Brave Exvius as we look at these new cards. Yeah, obviously Wind Ice is something that is on our radar with Brave Exvius. Being able to play like Laswell or attack with Laswell off of that after doing 5k to something, and like, well, that thing's frozen. Or play that, do 5k to the board, Renoa, blink that, do another 5k to the board. I think there's some really wild stuff you can do there if you're playing like Wind Ice Brave Exvius. I think there's, and then the fact that you can have her and maybe Dark, because her and Dark Phoenix can both be out at the same time because they're not the same. I believe character.
So. I mean, it doesn't say anything that says you can't, and they have 2 different names. So
yeah, so just like being able to play that, obviously this is a massive CP turn, but being able to like play that, pay the kicker, do 5k to the board, play, and then ready your backups, play Dark Fina, play a Diabolos for free. Like I think the card just enables a lot of really insane turns, and I can't wait to see it. I think there's so much that card can do.
Yep. And then
the card's good.
Yeah, for sure. And then next crop of spoilers came from their fanfare over in Japan.
Yeah, which was this weekend as well, wasn't it?
It was like literally happened like last night, I guess, which is like their today. I don't know, time travel, man.
Oh, where's Gabe at when you need him?
Yeah. But yeah, so the first one of those spoilers is Moogle Knight. He's a 3CP 5k standard unit. Tactics Advanced 1. Art looks really sweet. He has Brave. But again, he's a little under curve.
Yep.
But if he receives damage, reduce it by 3,000. And if forwards forming a party with Moogle Knight receive damage, reduce it by 3,000. I'm on the fence on this card because I don't like that he's a 5k, but he always reduces damage by 3. So really, if you're trying to use damage removal on him anyways, you're gonna have to spend over the curve to kill him.
Yeah. So he could just be kind of a sticky nuisance of a card, and the fact that he's an Earth standard unit is huge because I know you can play like that Earth Warrior of Light that's really big on standard units.
Is that 3 or less or 2 or less? I can't remember the number on that.
I will take a look because I want to say it's 3 or less, but I don't know.
Yeah, I can't remember if he says 3 or 2.
And that was Opus 6, right?
Correct, yeah. Opus 6, I think he was either an 8. I think he was an H.
He was. No, it's 2 or less. Poop.
Yeah, so you can't quite play him.
Yeah, you can't do that, but you can still get him like off of the Gladiator, and also too, the fact that he'll get bigger off of that coming into play, and then you can use his S to make that Moogle an 8k. So I mean, and also that thing makes a really solid carbuncle target.
Yeah, 100%. I think maybe like Earth, Wind, or Earth, Water standard units with carbuncle could be good.
Yeah, because you can play some of those, and then also too, like you can just play some of those lower, like like it makes Knight really good. That thing with like Minwu on the board seems pretty okay.
I don't even know if you need Minwu, right? Because like a lot of the stuff, so Alhanalem's never gonna damage this. Valifor is never gonna damage this.
Yeah.
You could Diabolus it, but it's you're still not killing him with the things I just stated. So then your combo in Wind Water to kill this card becomes Diabolos Choo-Choo Lane?
Sure. and that's I'm fine with my opponent wasting that.
Yeah, I mean that's a ton of CP to kill a 3 CP 5k. The thing is I think you have to get him a little big. He does have Brave though. So if you can get him big and threaten with him, I think he can be good. I just need I need to see it. Because that's not anything right now. It's like I feel like he's good. But I just need to see it.
Like the fact that, like you said, he has Brave, you can attack, Carbuncle, and then now you've got that thing threatening on defense with the known Carbuncle. So it's like, all right.
I mean, maybe Carbuncle Graviton is the way to go with this guy. Maybe that's what you do.
Yeah, because he's at that sweet spot. He's at that 5k. So it's like,
and you don't even need to do it, right? He has Brave, so you're just like, I'll attack. What do you want to do?
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like, I think that card's really, really good. But I agree with you. We've had a lot of high points, but the fact that he is a 3 CP 5K, like he's being a 3 CP, just does make him susceptible to like some of that just hard break a 3 or less. But at the same time too, like the damage removal, don't give a shit about because it's going to be reduced.
Yeah, any of the pingy stuff is gonna be hard for you to kill with him. But yeah, like you said, like anything like Odin or things like that are gonna kill him, as well as like any power reduction that sneezes on him is gonna kill him too.
Yeah, like something like Layla Viking Cloud of Darkness on that thing is like, oh well, that sucks, you know. But but then at that same time, you could just be like Carbuncle, Graviton. I'm a 9K.
And even then, the more I think about it, all the plays that we're talking about that kill him are spending more CP than you spent on this card.
Yeah, and then the fact that it's like, all right, well, Gladiator, I'll put him right back.
Yeah. So the more I think about it, now that we've talked about it, I think I want to play this card when it comes out.
I think it's good. I think it's really, really saucy. And I hope Dan and John are listening to this. I feel like this card is, while it's not a Prince or a Knight, I think it would actually be just a beater in the deck that they're playing currently. Just because it's so sticky.
Yeah,
it's so sticky.
I do think you want Gladiator and stuff in decks, and I don't know if their deck has room for stuff like that. But like I do like the idea of that kind of stuff for sure.
Is it a multi-unit?
Yes, it is. It is. Yep.
Oh, and it's a standard unit. Standard unit. It's a multi-unit. Man, that could be brutal with a couple of those things on board. And it's like Graviton Carbuncle. Yeah. Graviton Carbuncle. Not Carbuncle. Graviton. Yeah, Carbuncle. Yeah.
Yeah, Carbuncle Graviton. Yep.
Yeah, so, like it just seems like you could just have a really just nasty board of just real sticky 5Ks, and it's just like, well, what do you do about it?
Yep. And then so the next card is Medine. It's a HCP light summon. Now, I've seen 2 different translations on this, so I'm not 100% sure which one is right.
Because I need to know which one is right, because that makes this card from being bad to okay.
So the translation that I'm looking at currently says it can only be cast during your turn, but the translation that I've also seen is that it can only be cast during your opponent's turn.
Okay.
So I'm not 100% sure either way, because, again, I can't read Japanese, so take that for what you will. I do think that it makes a big difference one way or the other, because... I wasn't even talking about that because I believe. Go ahead and read because I think if the last line reads the way it is, where it does that damage to. Oh, it's all. I'm pretty sure it's all. Yeah.
Then I think that's not great, but I'll go ahead and read the card.
Yeah. So if you've received 5 damage or more, the cost to cast is reduced by 2. It costs 8 if I didn't state that. And deal 9K damage to all forwards.
Yeah, man. Like the fact that it's a symmetrical 9K to everything, like why do I want to do that?
I'm not sure. I'm trying to wrap my head around it too. It might be good in title though. I mean, this is a 9
category 9, right? Yeah. I mean, that'd be the best piece of removal I have because chances are they're going to be on the ropes most of the time anyway.
And it doesn't target, which is a big deal in title.
Oh, absolutely.
But like, yeah, in standard, if you can only cast this during your turn, I don't know. I think there's negatives to both. Like, I don't know. And then, I mean, if you have 5 damage or more, playing this for 6 probably feels decent.
It's expensive. It just feels clunky. Like at that point, I'd much rather just play. Zodiark.
Yeah, or Ultima, right? Ultima costs 5 if you have a light forward, and it saves your light forward, but you don't have to mill a ton of cards. So I guess that's the thing here is that there's no mill. It's just pay 6, probably kill most things.
For that amount of mana, I'd rather just play Sabin and do Rising Phoenix.
Yeah, you know what sucks? This doesn't kill Y'shtola either.
Correct. Correct. So, and neither does Sabin. Yeah. But the fact that like Sabin could like attack and potentially force Y'shtola to block.
Yep.
That means has a better chance of killing Y'shtola than that card does, and it costs. Really, it technically costs the same amount. You're paying 2 fire, 2 colorless for Sabin special. Yeah. That's pretty much 8 mana. So I mean,
I guess actually the more I think about it, hopefully it's during your turn, because if it's only during your opponent's turn, that gives them another chance to like play more stuff. And if it's during your turn, they have a lot less options. So
right, and then but I also feel like too, if it's during your turn, you also have a lot less options because you're playing 8 CP. Sure. At the most, you're paying 6 for it. So I don't know. I hope I'm missing something on this card because I feel like this card just It's big. It's a big doofy card, and usually big doofy cards tend to do something more.
Yeah, the art is sweet.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Yeah, look, just like that Bahamut. Like I think the art is fantastic, but I want this. I hope this card does more.
The other thing that this says to me is that we're getting a dark summon.
Yeah, that is quite possible.
Yeah, I mean,
was this the legendary or heroic?
This is heroic. So the dark summon will probably be legendary, which means that Rain will be the light legend, and the other guy that I don't know his name will be the dark legend, the guy from Brave Exvius. because we've seen that art.
Yep.
So, all right. So the last one, and it's probably the most exciting one I think that people saw, is Luna Freya. So she's a 4 CP water backup, category 15. I don't know her job because I can't read Japanese. If you control a category 15 forward, the cost to play Luna Freya is reduced by 1. And then here's where it gets like really crazy,
saucy.
Right? During your opponent's turn, if a forward you control other than light or dark is put from the field into the break zone, you may put Luna Freya into the break zone. If you do, return the broken forward to the field dull.
That's just nutty to me. And while we were talking about this card, like Will Buckley just rattled off like 10 cards that would just blow, like just so abuse this thing. Obviously, Y'shtola comes to mind. Yep. The Gabranth that stops damage, like play Zodiark, pop Gabranth, put Gabranth right back.
Yep. Or I mean, even just to prevent 1 point of damage, from Gabranth, which they played around, and then you break Luna. They had to play around like preventing 2 points of damage at that point, basically.
And that's nuts. Like, and then the fact that you could just do it with Noctis, you're like, all right, triggers. Noctis fights, we'll trade. All right, I'll put Noctis right back. So if you attack, he's gonna fight again. You know, like I just think there's some real I think the card's really, really neat. Like there's a lot that it can do.
You could do like and obviously you're gonna be looking at ETBs and stuff. So maybe maybe Windwater. I don't know if that's gonna be worth it, but because you'd have to pay full price. But you know, have a Bart's out or whatever. If it trades or the Diabolus that you play Bart's again, then you activate everything, including the Bart, so you can block again. I mean, you could do... I mean, there's just a lot. I mean, and then, any kind of break effect that would normally just kind of leave you without the forward, like Y'shtola and Gabranth, like those type of abilities. Being able to bring them back to the field does sound really nutty to me. And again, I think, like, on paper, I think she's nuts. I want to see what people do to abuse her, but, I mean, there are definitely a lot of ideas, and I know we have, like, a lot of those, too.
And it's a May ability, right?
It is a May.
Yeah, which is huge. And this is the Water Legendary, I believe. And the fact that that's a May ability is just absolutely nuts. And what's really good, obviously, again, I'm looking at Wind Earth on this one, and not just the fact that it's a 15 character. I think that's just icing on the cake. Because normally it costs 4, right?
Yeah, it costs 4, but it is a water backup.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's a water backup, so chances are you're going to have a couple backups down. And then the fact that if you have like Noctis or Gladio out, you can just play this thing for 3. Or is this a 15 forward or character?
Forward. Has to be a forward.
Okay, that's fine. But like the fact that that this thing is a May ability, so if you have that turn where it's like, all right, well, I can sacrifice this, to get the ability to go off again when I bring it back. Like the fact that you can pick and choose is huge. I think the card is really, really good, and I hope it plays as well as it reads.
Yeah, and I think Renoa plays really well into this too.
Oh yeah,
because Renoa will let you blink anything you want. So like if you have a Nidhogg and a Renoa, and now you're just like keeping Renoa up as a blocker. They have to think about, like, if she dies, do I have a way to deal with them blinking their Nidhogg again on my turn? So,
and then you look at other cards too. You just look at, another great example is the Light Warrior of Light. Play that thing, break it, get a card, get a Warrior of Light, and then you're like, all right, well, I'll break this, put it back. Sure. So you can be playing like Water, Fire, Warriors of Light. And you can just be like, all right, well, boom, now it's back, and I can do it again, and I get another card off of it too. Oh, yeah. So like, I think there are some neat applications, and this is a card I am actually really excited to brew around because obviously, like I said, while I didn't care for the game, I really enjoyed the characters in 15. So like the fact that we're getting more of that is really, really awesome, and the fact that this plays well with some really powerful cards already, like the Windwater, being able to use Y'shtola, just again, just the fact that now now that I've broken my Y'shtola to stop something stupid, now you have to worry about me breaking that, which in Windwater, like that could be fine. That could open up my backup line to let me play something else.
Sure, yeah. And
that's huge.
Yeah, I mean, she has a ton of possibilities, I think, and I'm interested to see like what people do with it.
And I'll bet it's going to be a beautiful looking foil as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's a mono art, so.
Yeah, so it's going to be a beautiful foil. So yeah, I think the card's really good. I'm so far, honestly, man, like outside of like the summons, like the only pay for your backup summons, like every card has been like really, really solid in this set so far.
Yeah, I think this set's shaping up to be really good and hopefully like meta defining. I hope it's like nothing broken or anything, but I do want to see it like shake things up for sure.
Yeah. I really want the status quo to be shaken up. Like I want to go to a tournament and sit across from like my opponent. And yeah, I'm fine with them playing like Wind Water, but I want to see like new stuff. Or if they're playing Wind Earth, I want to see them playing new stuff. Or if they're playing, I can't wait to see like a bunch of Wind Ice Brave Exvius stuff, or a bunch of standard unit decks. Like I think a lot of this stuff, it's worth giving other archetypes a second look, because especially as people learn how to play against the stuff. Like, people know how to play against Wind Water, people know how to play against Wind Earth, but now you start bringing damn Moogle Knight Carbuncle to an event, they're gonna be like, I don't know how to deal with that.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Or I don't know what to do to deal with that.
Yeah, for sure.
And then that's another card where if you're playing again Wind Earth standard units here, you got that Luna Freya out. All right, well, here's my Moogle Knight. I'm gonna bust it. We're gonna trade. Okay, I'll bring it right back. Yay, we did it. There's just some really stupid stuff to do. I love it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I'm a fan for sure.
Yeah.
So then,
I think
that's all the spoilers. That's all the spoilers. Yeah.
Man, well, that's got my blood pumping. That's for sure. There's a lot of really good stuff coming down the home stretch. And it's March 22nd is when this set comes out.
Sounds
or
right.
28th.
Sounds right.
Yeah. So can't wait for that. I know pre-release will be right around the corner, and that's going to be really exciting. But that wasn't the only exciting thing that happened, Adam. Yesterday was the RVA Petit Cup, and boy, howdy, what an event it was. So, first of all, I want to just say before we even start that thank you to everyone that came out, everyone that tuned into the stream. It was just such a great experience. Like, I hadn't had this much fun in a while commentating, obviously since the reunion, because it felt like that again. Just me and Adam hanging out, just calling all the shots all afternoon, just cutting up on stream. Having people come through to the couch confessions, and just having a great day of cards in this community. And the fact that we saw a lot of new faces there was a lot of new faces, and I think a lot of them were local.
I think a few were, yeah.
Yeah. And, we'll kind of touch on that a little bit. And the fact that, we had almost 80 players, 76, I believe, was the final count.
It was, yep, 76 exactly.
That's huge. And, obviously, I'll be putting the top 8 deck list up today. It was a stacked field, man.
It was basically all the killers on the East Coast.
Yeah,
came out.
Pretty much. Minus a few, like, Sam Toole wasn't there, Andy Carmona and Jonathan Ciordio weren't there, but, like the usual suspects were there. We had, the guys from Tampa come up, Sam Prime, Ian Valise, Alfred Clausen, Serena came up as well, and they brought their buddy Jacob with them, who actually did very well. He finished top 16 as well. Then, of course, you had John, Dan, and PJ from Jersey come down. You had Nick Chanel, Tracy. All those guys came down from PA. Gabe, unfortunately, was not with us today. Apparently, his car exploded with him inside of it. I keep exaggerating the story. I guess they had the car they were supposed to come in broke down. And I do want to give a super, super special shout out to Andrew Good for coming down and judging the event. And he has also offered to judge the Crystal Cup for us as well.
Yep.
So, big shout out, and again, like, if you look at all like the posts that we've seen on Facebook since the event, like, everyone has had a super positive response to it. Just the fact that everyone was like, "Oh man, this is how you run an event. This is this was crisp." I think everything ran smoothly as well, and the fact that we're getting that high praise was great. So I guess we'll start. Adam, what were your thoughts on the whole day overall, man? Because I think sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off before you get started. I think you personally, I think you deserve a massive pat on the back for putting, the overlays for the stream, getting all the equipment together, getting everything set up. Obviously, I think you were the backbone of this entire operation, and I definitely don't think it would have been as successful without you putting in the extra effort. So, big thank you and big shout out for that.
Yeah, I mean, that means a lot too, for sure. I mean, the best part to me, man, was like looking, like opening the doors at Battlegrounds and just seeing like 80 people playing Final Fantasy.
Dude, nuts! It was so nuts.
That was definitely cool. I mean, it made all the effort like worth it. I mean, yeah, I put like all that stuff together. I did all the slides. I did all the layouts. I mean, they might not be the best thing in the world. I'm still learning, but I feel like we're getting there.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
And the stream had a few hiccups from time to time, but I think it's things that we can fix. And I definitely want everybody's feedback, like positive or negative, no matter what, so that we can like constantly keep improving that. I know I haven't heard a single negative thing, which is great. But I definitely know I have some notes of some things that I definitely want to improve as far as the stream goes. But as far as the event goes, I don't know. Like, I feel like we did great. Like, I mean, the Battleground staff was on it. They ran, like, rounds were like pumping out. There wasn't too much downtime even in between rounds because we had the raffles. You know,
yeah, and big shout outs to Matt Rice for sending us that care package full of sleeves and stickers and you know, what else was in there? We had Laswell promos that we were giving out.
Yeah, we had
we had some dice in there to give out.
Bond sent the Windwater dice.
Yeah, big shout outs to Bond for that, man. Thank you so much for for contributing from so far away. And then we had Austin donating. He donated a deck box to the cause. Like the community really came together once again, and that's huge, man. Like the fact that we take care of each other, and I know. I definitely want to repay the favorite old Matt Rice. Least I can do is get the man a beer. But I definitely want to, if there's an event up in their neck of the woods, I'll be returning the favor and sending a care package that way as well.
Sure.
Yeah, dude, just absolutely fantastic. And the fact that a new T-shirt was made from this event. Kayla put together the big Dumpy T-shirt.
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty funny. I mean, we had our usual stream where there's just things happen. I mean, there's a lot of nutty moments on stream, but I don't want to get ahead of myself too far yet. I mean, yeah, first off, again, like you said, we had 76 players, so it was 7 rounds. We got to watch all the rounds on Swiss. Looked pretty grueling. I mean, it was a top 8 cut only, so you had to have a good day to get there.
Yeah.
And not only 2 X2s I think made it into top 8.
Oh yeah. Yeah, a lot. And that's a brutal day. Best of 1 going X1 and X1 XO and best of 1 is tough. It is absolutely tough. And I don't think we had a single undefeated. Steven was close. Steven lost his last round to I believe to Colin Rupert.
Yep.
And so we had no undefeateds on the day.
Yeah, we had 0 undefeateds. And then I mean, even some of the local guys did pretty well. And I told them I know Matt and my brother went positive in their record, and I was like,
they were 4-3.
I was like, you should hang your head high. The field. I think most people were 3-4 for the most part, and I mean that's not a terrible day either. It's not the best. I mean, obviously you want to do better, but I mean everybody there was a killer. Everybody there knew for the most part what they were doing. There was definitely a few things here or there, but I mean it was a hard field for sure.
Yeah, and this was to like you said to bring now Drew obviously has not touched the game in forever. I don't think Drew has touched cards the Memorial Day event, Opus 5. I don't think he's played since Opus 5. So the fact that he came in with 4-3 and not being on father sleep, which means no sleep, finished 4-3. And this was Matt's first, Matt Diorio's first, this was his first taste of hyper competitive Final Fantasy.
Mm-hmm. And
he was playing a very a deck that by all rights is tier 2.5 or 3. You know what I mean?
At best.
Yeah. So the fact that hang your head high, Matt. You had a great day of cards, and don't let that I think you were proud of yourself. We were all proud of you, man. That's to me. That's and you guys had a good time. The fact even Shazad, who's a newer player and kind of comes and goes with the wind. He said he went 1-6, but had just an absolute awesome time. He just loved seeing a number of people here playing the game and just hanging out and having fun. And to me, that means just seeing people.
That's what I like to hear. Yeah, that's what I like to hear. Because I just want more people playing the game. I don't care how they get their fun, as long as they get their fun out of it. Doesn't matter to me.
Yeah, and people were enjoying the raffles. It just and again, and Battlegrounds did a fantastic job. I felt like this whole thing was a culmination of just all the hard work those guys have done. Big shout outs to Daniel Jones, who actually got to play in the event today, so he was having fun. Will Buckley, Ben Dutton, Mina, all these guys just really working hard to make sure that we were able to get what we needed for this event, and just for the community in general, man. We kept building. We kept building, and they were behind us 100% of the way. And I think this was the culmination of that. And I can't wait for the Crystal Cup in July. But let's talk moments, Adam. Let's talk about the event.
Yeah, so I guess
outside of because I guess we're just super humbled by how well this thing went, and we're just really happy that everybody else was happy. It was like a mom watching her kids eat her cooking. You know what I mean? That's what it felt like.
Yeah. So for Swiss, there was some exciting matches for sure. I mean, I know Steven had quite a few close matches on stream. I think the big thing in Swiss for me was Amethyst, man.
Amethyst coming with the ruckus.
I'm not sure. I've never met her before. I think she might be from Richmond.
Yeah, I think so too.
She asked to be part of our page. I mean, again, that doesn't necessarily mean Richmond, but I've never seen her before. And I think her and maybe her boyfriend, I'm not sure, signed up. And Yeah, she came to play, man. She brought the big doofy Earth deck, and
which made me really, really happy. And the fact that hers was different too. Like she was like all about Vincent. Like there was like 7 Vincents in the deck and death penalty left and right.
Yep. And
Greg Cole would have been happy.
Yeah, and I think she went
X1. She went.
Yeah, it was either X1 or X2, but I think she was either the 7 or the 6 seed. I can't remember.
No, she was the 4th seed. She only went X1. Okay. Her only loss was to Steven.
Okay, yeah, that happened on stream.
Yeah, because every other match was like 30 seconds. Like she's every turn it was just like she did with that deck what big doofy Earth decks do. It's like here's a bunch of forwards.
And every time we turned the stream over, like if she was like a backup match or whatever, it was over in like 3 seconds.
Yeah, so like she was actually one of my favorite people to watch, just because like you knew she was a new player, and I think that all really started coming through. And this is what was really cool before I start breaking down some of the stuff that we saw. The fact that like the people like guys like John and Spencer and even Steven, like when they were playing against her, like she would like. Even she had Vincent Yuffie. She would before she would attack with Vincent, she would death penalty, and John was like, hey, Yuffie gives Vincent Brave. You can attack first, then death penalty, so you can still be like just kind of like showing her like the little nuances, because for a deck that is big and doofy, there are still a lot of like things where you have to like sequence right and decide when to hold back, when to go. And I think we saw a lot of that when she played against Steven, when she tried to back up Raubana Zidane. Steven was like, yeah, that doesn't work.
Yeah, I mean, we saw a few mistakes, and that's going to happen because obviously she is a newer player, but I hope she keeps coming out. And if she is a Richmond player, I hope she starts coming out to our locals for sure. Because I think she could definitely keep growing, and I mean, there's something there for sure. So
yeah, and keep playing that big doofy deck, because I think that's a deck that I think that's a deck that's not going to go anywhere. Just because to me that's like one of those like dredge style decks that like if it becomes too popular, people will know how to tech against it and beat it, but then it'll start to disappear. But then it's like Golbez in a sense, where it's like, all right, you better be prepared to deal with this onslaught. If not, you're dead in 3 turns.
Yep. Yeah, I agree.
So I think it's still a very real deck, and it made me happy to see. And yeah, she did a fantastic job for I think she actually said this was her first tournament.
Yeah, that's what I heard. Yeah.
Fantastic stuff. And then a lot of great moments in Swiss. Let's see here, trying to think of some other good ones we saw on stream. Obviously, we saw to talk about Jacob, the other Florida guy. Like he was playing and not a lot of mono water for Soya.
Yeah,
mono water.
Yeah, they were just playing dudes. Yeah, like they were just playing the dudes.
Yeah, and this guy was playing like Gaudes and Tonberries and Camelnots, and it was working very well for him.
Mm-hmm. I mean, Gaudes Tonberry seems pretty disgusting to me.
Yeah, absolutely. And then Colin was like back. Colin Rupert, who also made top 8, was playing mono water dudes as well. Thankfully, and like I said, the big thing is he had 2 Cloud of Darkness in the deck, which made all the difference in the world.
Yeah, so I guess we can go to top 8, right? So first seed was Steven, right?
Steven was first seed. He was on Wind Earth. Yeah, not like the Urianger build. He was on the classic one. Which, when I use the term classic very loosely, because the deck now seems to really enjoy running 3 Yojimbo.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I guess it stops people from trying to swing at them if they have like anything on board. Because normally Earthwind is a deck where you're not super scared of burst, like outside of like the 1 or 2 Chaos Walkers they might run.
Mm-hmm. And the fact that all of their forwards are, like decent, and the fact that they'll get that +3 from the Yojimbo, it's like, especially if like Noctis is on board and that thing flips over, it's party time. It is party time.
Yeah, because now Noctis is a 10k, and if you want, you can fight 2 things. I mean, you'll probably lose Noctis in that instance, but it might be worth.
It's 100% worth it, because then you'll just because the deck runs 3 Noctis, you're like, all right, well, here's another one. Go.
Yep.
Yeah, so he was the number 1 seed. The number 2 seed was Alfred Clausen on Wind Water, like he was in Tampa.
Yeah, pretty similar list. I don't think there was that many differences.
Yeah, actually, I think the only difference is he was running 1 Oracle.
Okay.
The Oracle backup, which I think is great in just Wind decks, as you activate, because it does activate all your characters or just all Wind characters.
All characters.
That's pretty good. Yeah, I think that's a good saucy one of it. It's 2 Wind and tap and break, right?
Correct. Yep.
Yeah, and obviously still on the Bismarck plan, which I think is great. I think it's fantastic.
Yeah, and
then the third seed was Colin Rupert.
Yep, on the mono water deck that we just talked about earlier.
Running 3 Minwu as well.
Yep, no Fasoya, 3 Minwu, and then Legend Steiner were probably the biggest standouts for me, I think.
Yep. And then the number 4 seed was Amethyst. Again, she was on the big doofy Earth deck, and she had 7 Vincents. The one the one thing that was different, and I think it's something that could easily change. She was running 1 copy of In a Cross backup, which not necessary. And 1 Yuffie. You could easily cut the In a Cross for a second Yuffie, and then you'll see that Vincent Yuffie so much more consistently.
Yep, that, and I also think I would probably pick a different Vincent if you really want an extra Vincent other than the rare. But I mean, it could just be a thing of like what cards she owns, man, and it could be because again, she's a newer player.
And no critique, she slammed, absolutely slammed people.
So.
And then the number 5 seed was Ian Valise, the winner of the Tampa Petit Cup, and he was on, the Earth Lightning Lulu control.
Was that card for card the same? I didn't look in detail, but it seemed very, very similar. I'm not sure. I'd have to do like a comparison, but
because I've got it right here. I mean, I'll have to pull up the other one and look. But I know the Race Felgar was in there before. I think it is.
Yeah.
Like I legit think it is.
Yeah. I mean, you won with it. Why change a good thing?
And you almost did it again.
Yep. Yeah. Came really close. His and Sam's set was extremely close.
Yep, and then that was number 5, and then the number 6 seed was the droid bounty hunter himself, LT15G, William Lowe.
Yep, and he was playing well all day too on Ice Earth.
Oh yeah, and he's really good at that deck, man. And obviously that list has not changed a bit. So that's the same one he played at Nats. It's the same one he played at the LQ. It's the same one he played at the Keyblade Cup. Same deck he played yesterday. So like that deck's not changing. He knows how to pilot that deck. And anytime I see somebody play Final Fantasy 6 cards, that just makes me really, really happy.
Yep.
And then on the 7th seed, we had Hunter Nance, the Ranch Master himself. I was not expecting him to play Mono Wind. I honestly thought he was on Earth Ice.
Yeah, I thought so too for most of the day because he didn't get on stream. And then he showed up and he was.
And we'll talk about some of his nutty plays because I think he had some of the most exciting like stream worthy moments. In Top Cut.
I've already clipped a couple. I 100% agree. I saw he shared one too. So, yeah, I agree with that. Yeah.
And then rounding out top 8 was actually Sam Prime, the eventual winner of the event, playing believe it or not, I actually really like his deck. I'm glad to see somebody playing monsters, and I know he has kind of an affinity for them, and it's something that he really enjoys. And I thought the deck was actually, like, even just watching it work, it clearly it's a how Hunter has his decks. This is definitely a Sam Prime deck. This is a deck that obviously he built. He knows how to play. I'm pretty sure if someone else tried it, they would probably not play it as effectively.
Yep.
But the deck was really revolved around making Zagnol like a very, very potent threat, and there were a lot of cards that could activate it.
Yeah, I was happy we got to see some Ozma specials. Gigas is still really good. The card's insanely good, I think.
You mean Big Dumpy?
Big Dumpy. Yeah. Now forever that's what that card's name will be.
Yeah, and the fact like that's all of my Gigas, I've crossed the name out and actually written Big, and that was card I would ever use. So I was like, this guy was just like, and it just came from like the thing. Like one day I was just sitting here and I was just like, man, this guy's just such a big old dumpy. Like, there's not a dumpy, he's just a dumpy. That's all it is. And then the fact that like that has come to life. So if anybody wants the watch out for Big Dumpy T-shirt, Kayla Lockwood has them going on right now, and appreciate the shout out on that because if you look at the Gigas on the T-shirt, he's got a sick RVA tattoo on his shoulder,
which is pretty awesome.
Also very meta in more ways than one.
Yeah, and I think Momodi also did a ton of work for Sam as well.
Dude, Momodi with Big Dumpy, it's like she just like dumps some scotch down his throat and says, "Go get him, Big Dumpy." That's really what she's doing.
It was really cool, see it, and then of course like the Opus 1 Cloud of Darkness also.
Oh yeah, Hilda from Opus 6. I know that's a top 8 Johnny card if there ever was one. And then and watching the matches in top 8, like Calbrenna did a lot of work. Calbrenna kept him in games just by just being there.
I agree. She's really hard to deal with, and I think he also made a meta call where he was like, I don't think that many people are going to be playing Sen here. And then I mean I think I saw one Sen, and that was just from me like walking around all day, like when we were either on breaks or you were interviewing or whatever. I saw one Sen.
And you know what's really crazy? Like you could easily, like if you're playing monsters, and I was thinking about this. I think you could easily go back to playing monsters, and you could easily splash Yistola in some of these monster decks to protect you from cards like Sin, like those auto abilities and stuff like that.
You definitely could. I think the issue with the old monster deck that I used to play, I mean, I'll talk about this for like a second. I don't want to go on a tangent. Is Cobalt Droid, man, Remember how good we used to think that card was? That card
Oh,
sucks.
the card gets shit on now. He gets shit. That's what I'm saying. I think that card can just get replaced by Big Dumpy.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, Big Dumpy or Zagnall can just come in and just tromp and stomp their way across the red zone.
Yeah, here's the issue there is the reasons you ran Wind were Cobalt Droid and Valifor.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if you're running Wind just for your Stola, you get to that point, which is why Sam was only running Earth Water, right? Which is probably the better way to go.
And also too, if you're playing like Shantoto, like and you're playing dark cards anyway, I could even also see the argument for like, throwing in a Camelot and a Chaos just to be able to play Y'Shtol. But we're talking about a whole different deck here. But it's something like the way he played the deck was very effective, and I think I guess I said all that because if Sin does become a thing, I think the deck and the archetype can easily adapt to that card.
Yep. Oh no, yeah, I agree. Yeah, so I guess let's talk about some of the matchups really quick. So the first one for sure that comes to mind in the first round of top 8 was Hunter versus Alfred.
Hunter versus Alfred, man. Like it was, and obviously I urge everybody to go back and watch the VOD on Twitch.
It's clipped now, by the way. That one play. If you just want to see the one play, it's clipped.
And the fact that, like, now granted, the reason it's in a few pieces, and that's just because the way the way the cords were, and we'll have this ironed out for the Crystal Cup. We'll make sure we like tape that thing down or tape the cords away so we don't trip over them. Remove the table over to the right a little bit. We kept like tripping over the router or the modem, and it just kept unplugging. So there was like 3 times where it was like, oh shit, the internet went out. Let's put it back in.
Yeah, I think it was 5 times actually.
Yeah, but the play you're talking about, Adam. Let's go ahead and let's talk about that clip for a second.
I remember it because I mean obviously we were commentating it. So we missed the first turn, and Hunter had played 2 backups turn 1, which is pretty good for mono win. Like definitely like 2 CP backups is pretty great. And then I want to say turn 2 he curved out into an Ilaria, got a Chelinka, played an Aerith. Untapped his backups and then played another backup and went straight to 5 backups on turn 2. I want to say that was the order. I'd have to.
Yeah, it was real fast. He ramped up real fast.
Yeah, but I know it was two. Yeah, I know it was 5 backups on turn 2, and I remember saying Hunter is so far ahead right now. And then Alfred played turn 1 Yuna, which great start, and then another 2 CP backup, and then taps 2 and plays a Riku. I'm like, okay, both of these starts are really really good. And then Hunter plays a Bartz for free, right? And I think he's left with like Yuri and Barb in hand.
Yeah.
And I remember we were talking about it. I was like, whether or not he should play the Yuri, is it worth it? And I said no, and 100% was wrong. And so he plays it.
He tapped 2, pitched a card, played the Yuri, and I think he had 1 card in hand after that.
No, I think he was empty-handed, right? Or no, it might have been one. It might have been 1 card. And and so at the point I was like, okay, he's decided to go aggressive. It's fine. And so Alfred draws a Pain, and I'm thinking like the Pain's going to come down instantly, right? He's going to draw a card. And honestly, I think he probably should have ordered it that way because he probably is less likely to get blown out. But I mean, hindsight 2020, right? He plays the Diabolus off the 3 backups to target the Bartz and set the Yuri to 1k, which automatically shows Hunter that there's a Valifor in hand, right?
Yeah. Absolutely, because he'd have to hard cast it. Now, to keep in mind, this what's transpiring here, or what's getting ready to transpire, is something that it was an out that Hunter kind of played to in game, because this is game 2. Game 1, this was something that like he was trying to get, and like it just didn't come through.
Yep. And so Hunter's like, all right, well, I guess I'll draw a card with Yuri, see if it's the Aerith, right? And he like peeks at the top card of the deck because he's already like tapped his stuff to draw, and he immediately flips the Aerith on top of the other Aerith, and you just see Alfred's hands go up in the air, like what am I supposed to do about that, right? Like, how do I beat that play?
Yeah, you don't like the game like that moment right there. The game was over.
Yeah.
Now, granted, Alfred, and this actually shows growth as a player from Alfred, because against Muhammad, which obviously he got his revenge on in this tournament because he beat him in Swiss. When Alfred just got beat by Muhammad in top 8, like he was hurt. He was hard on himself. He went outside. He had a moment, and like Muhammad just played nuts, and then like Hunter just got the top deck, boom, and that was a blowout. It was just like, you want to talk about, like, you want to Google blowout. If that clip from Twitch doesn't pop up, then there's something wrong with the internet. And the fact that he had a moment where he was just like, he threw his hands up in the air, and you could see him like start to kind of aggressively like flick with his cards. Like, he kind of held it together, and he started to claw back into the game, but like that was enough of a turn. and Bartz and Yuri were able to capitalize enough, like for over the next couple turns, that it just didn't matter.
Yeah. On top of that, not only was that like just a massive blowout and ruined his entire turn, now he has to pass, and then Hunter just archers the Yuna. Like,
yes.
As soon as that happened, like the game was over. It was over. As much as I hated to say it, it was over. And yeah, so Hunter was able to take that. Sam was able to beat Steven. We didn't get to catch all of that, but we got to watch like the tail end of the lot. It looked pretty hard for Steven. Like Sam was able to just kind of set up and go. And
when I was talking to Sam after his match, he said Steven actually played the match very well and actually adapted very, very well to that. It's showing growth of Steven as a player as well. Sam said he played the match very well, and it was difficult. And Steven played around a lot of the trickier plays.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess I will say that. So the top 8 people were able to see everybody's deck list before rounds.
Yep. Absolutely.
And then Colin was able to beat Will. I watched the tail end of that because it almost went to time.
Yep, and then Ian beat Amethyst, which was another one of those things where Amethyst, I think, was just a victim of a poor matchup because in the event the night before, which we'll talk about, we'll kind of backtrack and talk about in a second here, that's the deck that Ian played, the big Doofy Earth deck. It wasn't the same. He was actually running the 2-drop Light Yuna, which I think is a smart play as well because you usually have so many summons in your break zone that you're just probably discarding like the Odins and crap that you're not using. So I think that was a really fine call. So yeah, he just knew the deck.
Yep.
He just knew how to maneuver around it. And that was kind of the story of the first round of top 8. Because we were talking, we even said on stream, I was like, man, Wind Water just does what Mono Wind does, but just does it better because of Yuna and Valifor. And we were just like, Hunter has to navigate himself around this match. And game 1, he did. Like he knew when to play cards. He knew when to hold back. And we're talking. He's a world's quality player. Clearly, he had the alpha move. He was wearing the world's the U.S. team world zip up, and the fact that he knew how to maneuver that matchup. And then game 2, if he doesn't top deck that Aerith, he probably loses game 2.
Maybe,
or we don't know. But it puts him way far behind.
Yeah, I mean he's still on 5 backups, and then he's gonna be able to drop stuff that keep going. But yeah, it's definitely a very different game if that doesn't happen.
Yeah, because if we were to like speculate, so he doesn't flip the Aerith, he just draws a whatever. So then Alfred casts the Valifor, readies all his backups,
and then plays a Pain,
draws another card,
and then probably plays something else like a backup or something. Yeah, the turn completely changes.
Plays like an Ilaria or something and gets a Chelinka or something. Yeah, like I think just the tempo, like that play, if that play doesn't get blown out, it is such a massive tempo swing in Alfred's favor.
And I mean that says a lot about how you beat Wind Water, right? Like if you mess up their sequencing, you can crush them.
Oh yeah, if you mess up their goofy Valifor Diabolos turns, and they have to, like you said, they have to pass without finishing their turn, like you've set them back so far. But on the flip side, if they get to finish that turn, they are so far ahead. Like it's either feast or famine with that deck on the turns. If they do their stuff and they're unimpeded, you're just behind. If they don't, then you're in a good spot, and you better hope that you capitalize on it.
Yep. Yeah. Then those guys moved on to top 4, which Sam.
And we had the top 4 rematch from.
Yeah. And that was a really grindy match. Sam versus Ian. Went all the way down to the wire, almost went to time. I think there was like a minute left on the clock.
Oh yeah. They were running the 2-minute drill, and then we also had Hunter Nance versus Colin Rupert in top 4.
Yeah. And then there was another play in that game that was also pretty insane too. Not as insane, but still like really cool.
Oh, it was a ball buster, and we'll get to that in a second. The Sam versus Ian match was really, really good, and Sam just kind of took him. I think he had him pretty dead to rights in game 1. Game 2, Ian was really clawing his way in there, and the fact that like Alua was doing work, and really the MVP in that matchup is Estinian.
Mm-hmm.
Like straight up, Estinian is what won him the game. And then in game 3, when like 3 of his 4 points of damage were Alua, Estinian, the game was over just right there.
Yeah, that was pretty rough. He was able to stay at it for a long time though.
Just recycling his backups with Lulu and getting ready, just keeping bodies on the board. Yeah, he played smart. Like he knows how to play that deck better than I've seen anybody else play it.
Yep. Yeah.
But then the Ranch Master strikes back. Just yeah. So I guess if you want to talk about this one too, because I think this one's just as saucy. It's not as big of a blowout, but it kind of is.
I mean, we were saying it like the entire time. We were like, okay, Colin's on 6 and Hunter runs 2 Adeles. Like. If he draws the Adele, the game's probably over. Hunter had played a Refia, and I'm like counting his characters, and he was 1 character short of bumping anything in response. But his board was nuts big. Like, it was like Cloud of Darkness, Refia, Layla Viking.
I think a Knight was on there.
Knight, yeah, and then Hunter had like one or two cards in hand. Neither were the Adele. He draws his 2 cards, and one of them's a Mog, and he has a Mog on board, and he slams the Mog down so fast. Searches his deck, the fastest I've ever seen. Plays the Adele.
Turns it sideways, taps one to make it unblockable, and then extends the hand.
Yep.
Like, there was like the dude was just just his top decks in Top Cut were absolutely insane.
I mean, that's and like, people complain about top decks, and even sometimes I'll be like a little bit salty about it. But at the end of the day, you got to be like, they put those cards in there to do those things. Like,
oh yeah,
and
like,
when that happens,
that's pretty lucky.
Yeah, you in the moment you're like, man, that was lucky. But also you have to be like, there was thought process prior to the event.
Oh yeah,
why they're running those, and these lines, they're thinking like, Hunter runs Mog to be able to search for cards in his deck, and Adele's a win condition, right?
Yeah, she is like the win condition in my. If you don't look at Yuri and you look at Adele. Adele is your finisher. Like, she is your closer. Get her a cup of coffee. She's going to finish the job. And we even looked when Colin was looking through his deck there at the end. There was not a single Adele in that break zone, and there was not a single one in damage. So we knew they were both in the deck.
Yep.
So, and having the Mog S's in there, I don't know how many he had seen that game, but he essentially has 4 Adeles in the deck.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, and I mean, and it's the way he has it built, and so like it's just, yeah. I mean, there's always gonna be variance in card games, but it's like,
oh yeah,
And
this is another one that if he doesn't win that turn, Colin just wins straight up.
I think so too,
because he can't deal with the Refia shenanigans at that point.
Yep. And then so then after those 2 won, we were gonna have finals, but then everybody was tired, so we ended up splitting. And there was, if you go back and watch the stream, there was like a negotiation of like what prizes were gonna be where and who was gonna take what home. And so Sam ends up getting the trophy, so he'll end up getting credit for winning. To
listen to the way Sam said it, like, because obviously we're approaching almost 10 o'clock at night, and we had been there. The tournament had been going since like 12:30. So this game can be grueling. 7 rounds of Swiss. You're playing best of 1, and then you're already mentally wiped, and now you've got to play 2 out of 3 sets in Top Cut. So they get to finals, and like, I guess Sam approached Hunter and said, "Hey, would you be interested in splitting? We're tired. I'm hungry." And Hunter looks at it. He's like, "Well, what deck are you playing?" He looks at the list, and he sees like Cloud of Darkness and Shantoto and all these board wipes. He's like, "Yeah, I'm interested." So they and I've got like so pretty much in lieu of a grand finals, we had just a fantastic negotiation. Like we were looking at like the Treaty of Versailles signing or something like that. Like, so I've actually got the like they're talking, and Hunter's like, because I guess they're like initially like talking. Well, I want this. I want this. Well, I also want this. Well, I want this. And then Hunter's like, well, do we want to itemize everything? Get me a pen and paper. And I immediately run back into the office. I'm like, well, I guess we're going to have a grand finals one way or another. So I cut the stream on and I tell people what's going on. And it was a mixed reaction. I get it. I see both sides of the coin, man. Like, I get it. Like, this was a great tournament full of killers, and you watched just a really fantastic Top Cut. And you got to watch, and then in the finals, you got to see, you would get to see 2 world-class players at this game go. Like, Hunter Nance versus Sam Prime is, like, that's a great match. And I think these 2 decks, I would like to see how they maneuver around each other. But also, too, like, they're exhausted. Like, I see both sides of the coin. Like, it's a late day. Like, I as much as I enjoyed sitting there, I was beat, too. I was ready to call it, too. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I literally just, like, if you go back and watch the grand finals, it's just them sitting there with a pen and paper, drawing with each thing what it's valued at, with an arrow going one way and arrow going the other. The best thing is playmat's value 0 with a line through it.
Yeah, that was Hunter put that down. But yeah, I mean, and that was pretty much the event. And so all in all, I mean, it was pretty great. We obviously got to raffle off a bunch of stuff that we said earlier. We got to gunsling for a little while, give away some chapters, foils.
Yeah, that was actually fun. Big shout outs to Austin for because we had that hour break where we let people go get food, and you guys did deck checks and all that. And Jimmy, shout outs to Jimmy. He was like, "Hey, does anybody want to draft?" And I was like, "Yeah, Jimmy, that's a great idea." So I made an announcement. I was like, "Hey, if anybody wants to do a draft with Jimmy, go see Jimmy over there." And like, he got a pod. He immediately got a pod.
Got 2 pods. 16.
Yeah, that's awesome. Like, that's so awesome that we did that. So we kind of did some impromptu side events, and I was like, you know what? We've got time to kill. So I grabbed my Earth Fire deck and my playmat. I'm like, hey, and who wants to do some gunslingers with me? And people were like, "Oh yeah!" Like we got like 5 people lined up like right off the bat, and Austin was like, "Hey, you want a gunsling for some chapters foils?" And I was like, "That's such a great idea. People love that stuff." And so like right off the bat, like Adam Duncan was like, he was trying to leave. He was like, "No, I'll play a game with you." And then I got to play against Mike Hunsinger, and then John Schreiner. And then by the time I got through those 3 games, and then you joined in with some gunslinging, Andrew Good joined in some gunslinging. So we got, and then I know when everything kicked back off, we went back and did commentary, and like John and Andrew sat there and did a little more gunslinging, which was kind of awesome that they were kind of carrying the torch for us. So like all in all, being able to kind of do these impromptu side events to keep people sticking around for a little bit, because a lot of people stuck around through the whole thing, which was really, really awesome. And the fact that we were just able to kind of something that we hadn't planned on, just kind of like, you know what, let's do it. We've got the time to kill.
Yep.
So like I think the event was just absolutely fun. Like it was, as tired as I was at the end, it was completely worth it. And then going out to dinner again with everybody. I know we had like initially planned to go to like Texas Day, Brazil, but by the time we got out, like a lot of stuff was closed.
Yeah.
Even on a Saturday. And, so we found this place called the Flying Pig, which is actually, I've never been there. And we hung out and we had dinner together. It was us, the Tampa guys, Jersey boys. And we, got to laugh and giggle about Monster Truck Rally and talking about tech decks, the little finger skateboards. We just cut up for the rest of the night, man. It was just a great way to culminate the event, and I couldn't have asked for a better Saturday. Like I really couldn't have.
I 100% agree.
And I did touch on this. I did want to mention, so the Friday night, I know not everybody was able to make it into town, but I know the Jersey boys came and the Tampa guys came. So I was like, hey, let's kind of just throw an impromptu event. And Buckley was like, yeah, well, what we can do is we can do $5 entry, and top 4 we get out and spread it to cover their entry fee for tomorrow. I was like, that's an awesome idea. That's a really dope prize. And then I was like, I can put together one of the things from the raffle box was something that a playmat that Matt Rice had. I was like, cool. Why don't we give this to first place of that event? And so we did we capped it at 20. We got 16 players for the 20 on the night before, and we had a fun little event. Like we had 4 rounds of Swiss with a top 8 cut into top 4, which Ian Valise ended up winning, which was awesome. The top 4 of that was Luke Shapiro from Richmond, John Schreiner, Ian Valise,
Alfred.
And I think was it Alfred?
Oh no,
Alfred.
Yeah.
Serena and Sam were in top 8. Serena and Sam were top 8, and then I want to say the other 2 people in top 8 were.
Ron,
and
Dan? No, it wasn't Dan.
No, it wasn't Dan. Dan had a rough Friday. He I guess there was something. I guess he messed up when he was doing his deck, because somehow he had 4.
He had proxies.
Okay.
In there,
because he had 4 Marias and 4 Yashtolas in his deck.
Yeah, he took the proxies out, and they were proxied over those cards. Yeah. So. But yeah, it was a lot of fun, and the weekend in general was a lot of fun, and it makes me more excited for the Crystal Cup.
Dude, yeah, the Crystal Cup's going to be bonkers. Like we got almost 80 for this one. I know we'll get well over 100 for the Crystal Cup. So, so for those who are familiar, now granted, I know Virginia is a little bit different. Now, what'll be really nice is it'll be summertime, so there'll be a lot more to do. And the weather did kind of suck. It was just wet and rainy the entire weekend. Like the sun, I believe, has now finally come out. Like it was just wet, rainy, gloomy, and cold the whole weekend. And this weekend, it's the Crystal Cup's like on 4th of July weekend or the weekend after that.
The weekend after the 4th of July. It is 4th of July weekend.
So there'll be stuff to do. So if you are planning to come to a Crystal Cup and you want to come to this one, it'll be a good time because the places are going to be open later. There's a lot of outdoor things to do if you want to catch, some sort of. There's always going to be fireworks and crap going on for 4th of July. I might even work with Will Buckley. We might even be able to turn this thing into a cookout too, or something silly like that. I know that's a lot of extra work, and I don't want to bite off more than we can chew, but. We'll see what we're looking like as it gets closer, because that could be something we could do, because we love doing cookout events at Battlegrounds. So maybe we could slap a little extra on this Crystal Cup for the weekend, but it's already going to be an awesome weekend. So if you're on the fence and you miss this one, don't miss the Crystal Cup. You're going to have a great time, because the prizes here were great, but there's a world's qualifier on the line here. So. Yep. you don't want to miss it. And Opus 8 will be a thing. And clearly, from the spoilers we talked about, Opus 8 is a very, very interesting looking set, man. But
it might be Opus 9 by then.
Actually, you're right. It might be. It might be the beginning of Opus 9, or we're coming down the home stretch of Opus 8.
Yep.
So, either way, man, it was just a fantastic weekend, and I couldn't have asked for another, just for a better weekend. Just everybody was great. Everybody had a great time, and it was fantastic.
Yeah. So I think that's it. I don't have any more.
Yeah, no, just be on the lookout as far as things coming up. I'm going to be recording my next Change My Mind video this week. We're going to be talking about Noel, the Lightning Legendary from Opus 7.
Yep.
We're going to be obviously, I think, we're one of the things we're talking about. We'll either talk about it next week on the podcast, or we'll turn it into a series of videos. Joseph here this past week put out a video about like cards that have kind of lost their luster or just aren't good anymore, or have kind of, and he kind of gave an argument for why these cards aren't great. And that really got me thinking, like, because a couple of the cards on there, like, kind of hit close to home. Like Light Zidane was one of them. And I'm like, no, I think that card's still really good. And then, like, the argument immediately was like, Gaudis is just kind of better. And I'm like, yeah, that's true. But I think I want to just kind of have like these conversations about these cards. And I think that's just such a smart video to do, because these are cards that are like Minwoo. I think another card that falls into that category, it wasn't on this video, but, Legendary Balthier is another one that, used to see a lot of play. Forward Vivi is another one that was on that list. So, like, these are cards that people have fond memories of in earlier sets that just don't see a lot of play anymore. And I'd love to, like, have a discussion on those. So we may either do that in video form, or that may be our topic next week on our podcast. We'll just kind of see how the week goes. But, be on the lookout for more content. I know I'm going to post the top 8 deck lists from the Petit Cup here as soon as we're finished. And I know, like I said, be on the lookout for more content. The videos from the Petit Cup should be on YouTube, I guess, if you have the chance to do it today or whenever.
I'm going to have to do a little bit of editing for these ones because they're split up. So it might be like sometime next week.
Okay. But yeah, you can always catch out the video demand on Twitch. So you can definitely check this out. If you weren't there, you had missed a stream because you had to work or something, you can go back and watch it. It's all there. We've made sure, because I watched it this morning.
Mm-hmm.
So, but also I did watch the Cauldron Cup the morning of, which one were we missing? The one before the
series.
Yeah, I was watching that the day before, and then it disappeared too. But point is, I know this one's there, and other people have watched it too.
Yep.
So, well, with that being said, Adam, I've got nothing else this week. I'm gonna put these deck lists up, and I'm gonna just grab a shower and just relax.
Yep, I'm gonna do the same.
Yeah, man. Like I said, I'm actually in my brain, I'm kind of brewing up stuff, and I can't wait for Tuesday to try some new fun saucy stuff, just to see where everybody's head's at after I want to see where our community is at post Petit Cup.
Yep.
So, but cool, man. As always, guys, thank you for listening. If you attended the Petit Cup or you watched it on stream, comment on your platform of choice. Let us know what you thought. Obviously, this, like we said, this is the precursor to the Crystal Cup. We want to make sure any kinks we had here are worked out. Overall, I think it ran very smooth, Adam. I don't know about you, but I think, as great as this was, if there's anything that anybody can think that we need improvement on going into the Crystal Cup, please sound off in the comments. Let us know. Even if just ship us, send us a message on Facebook, or post on our page, post anywhere. Just let us know if there's anything you think we could do better for you guys, because that's really, at the end of the day, what we're here to do, man.
Yep.
But with that being said, I'm gonna sign off. Till next time, friends.
Yep. See you guys later.
Toodles.
Hey everybody, thanks for listening once again to the RVA Returners podcast. If you like this content and you want to hear more, check us out on YouTube at RVA Returners, and make sure you follow us on SoundCloud and check us out on Google Play and iTunes.